All right, so we did the interior night. We did a couple glass objects there. We're going to do the exterior day. If you're doing the nighttime, same thing. You'll have enough light in there because of those LED candles. Let's just change this up. Change project folders and garden. There we go. Okay, going to do a save as just to make sure don't overwrite anything. Quick IPR render just to confirm everything works. Yep, everything does in fact work. Let's just resize the window. There we go. Right, so don't forget, turn on your table setting, and you actually want to zoom in to the close-up shot. There is a label on the wine bottle, so you want to put that on a separate layer and hide it. Turn off visibility. We don't need that. When we get into Project 7 and we start making maps, we're going to make a label for that. And actually, the label we're going to do is basically going to use a transparency map called a presence map, which will basically remove unwanted parts of the geometry and just leave a unique shape. Hopefully you have one for the label so it looks like it's glued on rather than just somebody took a laser printed paper and just slapped it on a bottle. Alright, so going to create a new layer and have my selected object assigned to it. Label layer. All right, so first thing, make the wine glass clear. How do I know that? Well, it happens to be in the instructions. So for the exterior scene, wine glass clear. Wine bottle will need to be a color. The wine in the glass, your choice. White, red, Zinfandel. And the wine bottle is empty. You drank it all and only left the glass. So start with the wine glass. So somebody walk me through making clear glass for the wine glass. So step one is what? Yep. Assign a Pixar surface to it. Done. Yep. So diffuse gain 0. Next. Now remember, we're not using primary specular. Yeah, we want to scroll down to the glass section. And what do we do here besides look at it? Okay. Refraction gain, reflection gain up to 1. That gives us default. All right, so now I have a clear glass with a lump of clay in it. Yum, yum. It's basically Maya's living matter there. Yeah. Your whole Maya world is made of that. Yep. All right, so let's do a quick calculation. Up front, how many surfaces does a ray need to go through here?
4. Well, no, 6.
6. Why 6?
Because of the limit.
Okay, so because of the liquid, we have 6 surfaces. So we go into render settings, render man, under sampling, default ray depth, max specular, we change that from 4 to 6. All right, so notice it does brighten up the edges a whole lot more. Starts to behave a little bit more like glass because we are getting extra bounces for reflections, and now we have rays going all the way through that we need. Next thing we need to do is adjust the level of roughness. Can't do that until we have reference though. And while we're getting reference for a wine glass, why not get reference for a wine glass with wine in it, the type that you want to put on? So then you have to decide what kind of wine do you want. Chardonnay, red wine, Merlot, Muscadine, grape juice. Yeah, the trouble with grape juice is generally not very clear. We're looking for wine that we can sort of see through. Even dark red wine, we should be able to see a little bit through. All right, so I heard white wine. Nobody else chimed in, so white wine in glass. Why not? Outside. Why not? Hey, look at that. Damn. All right, so there's one example that would work. That would also work. They're in environments. It's sort of similar to ours. And let me see if I can grab this one. Desktop, as always, because I'm lazy right now. There we go. So, looks like this bottle was chilled. We're not going to chill ours. Ours has been out in the sun for a while. So, it's basically going to evaporate all that condensation on the outside of the glass, but we get an idea for what the color looks like. All right, so what do we need to do to make wine in our glass besides crushed grapes virtually in Maya? Let's go to perspective, frame that up, and go to the lump of clay in the bottom of our glass. So first thing we want to do, just like you would with glass, assign a new Pixar surface to it. We're going to rename it white wine. Save your scene before Maya crashes. It's always a race to see who wins. Right, so we have reference. We missing anything? We got reference. We've got a Pixar surface assigned to it. We more or less know how to make glass. Do we know how to make wine? Okay. Show us how. You said step on it. Show us how.
I don't have any grapes.
On your screen.
Oh.
You got jump up and down on your screen. Oh, wait. Well, how do you do it? All right. So,
Look up the refraction for liquid.
yeah. Actually, be more specific. So, index. No, because water is going to be slightly different than wine. Index of refraction, wine. White wine, to be specific, or just wine in general. Okay, first one, difference between red and white wine results. Ooh, guy in lab coats, so that's always good.
I don't think that guy's hit puberty yet.
Doesn't matter if he measures wine right.
Could be some good wine.
It could either be really good or really bad. Well, it doesn't look like he's measuring it from a toilet, so there's a positive right there.
He would have some homemade tattoos.
Exactly. All right, so scroll down and concentration of ethanol. Ethanol being the alcohol portion of wine that is drinkable by humans. So we have a choice. One is, I'm assuming, room temperature, and whatever this is, that's probably the ambient air they measured at. And the other is a controlled temperature of 20 degrees Celsius. So I don't really think it matters. So here is Loblaws white, Couche-Tard white, and Metro white. So if you take a look at all the whites, they are roughly 1.338, 1.337, 1.338. So if you want to split the difference, you really can't. Just go 1.338. That's probably close enough for white wine. So that's where we're going to change our index of refraction. So make sure you've got your geometry selected, you've got your Pixar surface on there. We start by doing everything we would do for glass. Diffuse gain off, scroll down to glass, refraction gain all the way up, reflection gain all the way up. Under advanced, index of refraction, this is where we're going to plug in our 1.338. Roughness, liquids, glass generally have very low roughness levels. So I'm going to drop my roughness down on this to 0.01. Everything's got a little bit of roughness. I'm going to do the same thing for the glass itself. My reference doesn't look all that dirty or all that blurry. So next, color. So double click on the color swatch, load your reference in, and sample away. Try not to get the green parts up there. Alright, so I'm going to try and find a nice light spot that's got a little bit of color in there. Little bit of saturation. And looks like my glass color got tinted. So let's switch that up. Let's make our glass white like it should be. And let's re-render that. Alright, there we go. So if your wine looks a little pale, simply make sure you select the right geometry and go in and you can bump up saturation a little bit. Remember, we're trying to match the reference, so yeah, it looks like it could be just a little bit brighter. Just a little more saturation on that. White wine is definitely going to have virtually no darkness in the hue part of the color. You should also have a transparent shadow. Wow, that was like a good half a sneeze. Glad the other part didn't finish.
Yeah.
You need a screen protector for that. Alright, so actually this is not bad reference. It's got bread, it's got cheese, it's got wine, it's got cork. Hey, all the things I got here. The only thing I'm missing is a knife. Darn it. Alright, so any questions about that? When in doubt, look up the index of refraction. Ask the question. Index of refraction 4, whatever your object is. If you still can't find it, try the refractiveindex.info website. Alright, one last thing. The bottle needs to be a color. I know my reference here is clear, but we want to have another colored glass object in this scene. White wine bottle. Let's see what kind of glass that is. So could be amber, could be green. How about outside? Alright, so there's a nice green bottle. And it's mostly empty, which is good. That's what we want. So if you want an amber bottle, just make sure you find some reference for an amber bottle. Make sure it's empty.
What do you want us to do?
What label?
Or is
We went and hid
supposed to
it.
be a liquid inside?
We went and hid the label. Where were you at the beginning? That was the very first thing we did. So take the label, throw it on a display layer, turn visibility off for Project 6. You'll be making a label in a unique shape for Project 7 if you choose to do this scene.
Hey, can you turn your bottle, please?
Wow, that sounded like a buzzsaw. All right. So, make colored glass the same way you did for the interior. Difference is, some of the glass for wine bottles, usually the amber, the greens, are much darker. So you will have some value in there. The idea, though, match your reference. So make sure, assign a new Pixar surface. Since it is glass, that part's pretty simple. All the same properties of the other glass. Diffuse gain off. Refraction gain up. Reflection gain up. Index of refraction, in this case it is glass, so that's good. Get your color from your reference. Pick best guess as far as what color would look good. Start rendering it and start adjusting. So right now it looks like I got lots of yellow in there, so I might need to bump it over to green a little bit, but I won't know until I actually render it. Match your level of roughness with your reference. Right now I have the default on. So it is actually a little dark compared to my reference. Remember, we're trying to match the reference, so just because your color swatch may look too dark or too light, don't go by that. Go by what it looks like when you render. Right, so I'm looking at my level of roughness on the glass. It looks a little excessive. A little bit of blur going through there, but then there's depth of field in there, so it's kind of hard to tell. All right, so everything's perfect, right? Nothing is ever perfect. So, if you're rendering and got roughly the same settings I do, you probably will notice something in your render. Anything look odd or out of place? Yeah, what's wrong with it? Right here?
There's no liquid in the bottom.
No, but the glass. Yep. Yep, 4 for the glass.
That'd be great.
4 for the glass, 2 for the wine. Then there's a bottle behind everything else, so that's another 4. So, render settings time. So, let's go up to 10 and re-render. Compare. All right, so there we are at 6, and here we are at 10. Right. Anybody have any questions about glass, liquid, transparent objects? Right. The one thing we didn't do was turn glass on inside the interior scene. Yeah, the windows. So, since nobody has any questions about the exterior glass or interior glass, I'm going to go back to the interior and turn the window geometry on and we want to assign glass to that and make sure it's thin walled. Yes. There is a display layer for the glass already in the interior scene. You don't have to worry about that here because the exterior's outside. There's no windows. All right, so I'm going to do a quick IPR just so we can get a baseline for what the windows look like before we go and turn the glass on. All right, so I can see outside the window. That's good. So in the interior scene, if you go to your channel box layer editor, there's your window glass. If you turn visibility on and render it, you should have complete darkness outside the window. Unless what? Nope, day scene's got the same thing. You're putting a wall in place of it.
Come on.
All right, so if you did everything right, that's what it should look like on the other side. Should be kind of transparent there. All right, so you want to make sure you select your glass geometry. And easy way to do that, once you turn on your display layer, right click on it and select objects. That'll select all the objects in your layer and assign a brand new Pixar surface to everything. Alright, so once you turn it on and assign a Pixar surface, you should have absolute blackness because you basically boarded up your windows. Yep, no, hurricane, it's Florida. Same thing.
Do you now?
Alright. So make sure you select your Pixar surface that's assigned to the glass. Rename your geometry or your Pixar surface, window glass. And let's make glass. Same recipe as before. Diffuse gain off. Scroll down. Refraction gain all the way up. Reflection gain all the way up. You've got glass there. The index of refraction. The only extra thing you want to do is turn on thin. Turning thin on will treat those planes like a thin sheet of glass. Now glass generally is not going to be that rough, so you probably want to turn your roughness level down. And basically do a render and see what you get. So when you re-render this with all those settings, you should be able to see your environment outside.
Hey, you want us to do the front doors and everything, right?
Well, if you go into the display layer, right click and select objects, it will select all of the glass in the scene. Alright, so this is what it looks like with the geometry turned off in the window. Right up here. And then with it turned on and made into glass, you can see some reflections from inside the room showing up in the windows, which is what you want. Yes?
I'm having trouble making it, so I'm doing the base game.
Okay.
Of the interior, but I'm not able to make it the glass actually see through. If you just like go back for a second. Just like so I can see something.
Well, it's just glass.
Well, I know I have it set up the same as any other glass, but it's showing up black.
So here's a question for you. Check your portal lights. Go into your, just choose any portal light. Go into your attributes and go to advanced. Do you have visible and refraction turned on? Yes. You want to have that turned on. By default, it is unchecked. Oh, wait a minute. You're doing day scene. So your portal should be, the refraction should be off.
Visible and refraction.
Yeah, just turn that on.
What?
So,
You said you want us to set it to thin.
select your dome light,
Haley, you said this.
the one that's got the tinted units.
I'm gonna throw a mouse at it.
What?
Back
What?
into
You have to
your
set
dome
something
attribute.
thin?
We said the realistic thing.
Go down to advanced. Oh, and turn on this one refraction. That should be on by default.
As I grab these invisible
Done.
ones.
Yeah, you just need to turn your roughness down. All right, so well, roughness in glass, that's going to be personal. What's that?
What would you put thin on?
Well, you put thin on. Why would you put it on?
Yeah.
So it doesn't try to refract light as it goes through. It's just a single flat plane. So you want it to reflect like glass, but not calculate refraction. Because really, there is nothing to calculate. There's no depth or thickness to the plane.
So, wait, Haley, does that mean that you're right? No.
Because I don't think you're supposed to touch the lights.
I think I did too. I think I missed
Because
the
it was, like,
intensity
really
of it.
bright.
Yeah, it was washing stuff out. If our renders are being washed out,
Are you doing day or night?
day,
Day.
Can we mess with the intensity a little bit?
Of the interior, like the like distant light coming in or any of the dome lights?
Well, no, you don't want to mess with the dome light because that creates your indirect light energy. We did go over this. You can adjust your diffuse gain.
Yeah.
You have to lower your diffuse gain on your objects that are being blown out.
Try changing the color. Yeah, try changing the wall color on it because if you have.
And drop your diffuse gain down.
Yeah, because she's probably getting the reflection of the light on the wall.
Daytime? Yeah, everything's going to be super bright. The floor is going to be blown out. So you got to drop that diffuse gain down just because the floor is responding to all the energy.
Got it.
And in the real world, it's not going to.
I just wasn't sure if I should put it like on. Like
I
on
would
the
not.
objects
I would
or
not
on
adjust the
objects.
lights till you get all your materials in there. You get them balanced out, and then if the whole thing looks way too bright, bring it down a little bit. But if you go chasing individual objects, it's going to ruin everything else.
I see here.
It's a candle.
Ice can. Oh, wait, that's an ice can. That should be metal.
No, it's a candle.
Isn't it a candle?
Yeah, it's a candle.
Yeah, it's a candle.
That's a big ass candle.
Big chunky candle.
Jesus Christ.
Why would you say something?
All right, so everybody get the glass turned on, okay, and get it rendered out. All right. So, any other questions? Anything not sure of? All right, go ahead and keep working. We'll treat this, the end of lecture, like a lab. So if you guys have questions, bring your stuff up.